It's for me a great pleasure to contribute to this special address promoted by, and I think that is very timely, by Professor Joseph Haldane, and from the European Center for Peace and Development, to talk at this real moment about education for peace. Education for peace, because finally this is what the Constitution of UNESCO tells us how to do. Because it is said to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of the war, from the horror of the war. And this is the first phrase of the Charter of the United Nations. We the peoples, we the peoples, have resolved to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of the war. And then, during 78 years now, this excellent design of democratic multilateralism has never in 78 years been able to put into practice the first phrase of the Charter. We the peoples have resolved. Yes, they have been unable. Why? Because the veto. Because from the very beginning, when the United Nations appeared to be the solution, because you know that already in the year 1919, at the end of the First World War, a very distinguished president of the United States of North America, President Wilson, went to Paris. At this moment was not plane, was going with by ship from New York to Brest, and then from Brest to La Place de la Concorde. And then she said, now is the end of the force, he said. Now we are going to create in Geneva the Society of Nations. We will be all represented there. And we will substitute forever the force by the word. What a wonder. What an excellent creation. The League of Nations, the Society of Nations. And you know what happened? What happened was nothing. Because we had the solution to say it was already time. From the origin of times, it has been always said, si vis pacem, para bellum. If you wish peace, prepare war. And this has been what we have done, and we are doing today. But we have done this from the origin of times. And this for this that was so important, that at the end of the First World War, Wilson in Paris said, no, now it's finished. Now we will have the possibility of mediation, of negotiation, of talking about peace, of creating the reasons for peace, and not for force. The reason of force has been always first and after. It has been always the force of the reason. And this is where we are now. Why? Because because it was intolerable what happened. Because when Wilson came back to the United States, you know what happened? That the country whose president created the League of Nations never was a member of the League of Nations, never belonged to the League of Nations. It's intolerable. We must realize that this is unacceptable, but was like this. And what was the result of this? The result of this was the Second World War. The Second World War, always with the force, always with arms, with bombs. You know, was the moment of the Hitler period. The Holocaust was the moment of the fascism in Italy. Now we have a duty of memory. We might remember what happened at this moment with these supremacist positions in both countries. But they were not with the possibility of having to counteract this force, the presence of United States of North America. Well, at the end of the Second World War, we thought, now it's fantastic. Fantastic because the group of another wonderful president of the United States of North America, Roosevelt. Roosevelt was brave enough also to put a woman at this moment. It was never a woman, his wife, a woman as president of the commission to draft the Declaration on the Human Rights. Were moments of very big hope, because the United Nations design is fantastic. It's a perfect multilateralism, democratic multilateralism, perfect. And then what happened? What happened is that immediately, the same day of the creation of the United Nations in San Francisco, were accepted 5 vetoes of the 5 winners of the Second World War. And this for the reason that we have a perfect design of governance, of democratic governance. But we have never been able to apply this first phrase, we the people have resolved to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of war. Why? Because from the first day, immediately was the veto. And today we have the veto. Easter. Believe me, that the first thing that now we must, when we talk about education for peace, the first thing we must now decide is to say, from now on, we will follow exactly what the Constitution of UNESCO says concerning education. In the article number 1, it is said, the educated are those that are free and responsible. Free and responsible. This is what we must do, and we must know in order from now on to change. And we consider that education is to have, a lot of knowledge and to be, no. Education is to be free and responsible. Education is not to be any more a spectator of what happens, but actor. of what must be done in order to change the present, always based in the force, the present solution that doesn't solve anything by we the peoples. And it's for this that during many years was impossible to talk about peace, because immediately they said the utilization of force. And we have today, what we have today at the global scale, what kind of governance we have? We have a governance based on the armament. We have a governance based on force. Si vis pacem para bellum. Si you wish peace, prepare war. Now we must say, si vis pacem para verbum, no bellum, not war, verbum, the word, the mediation, the negotiation. Yes. Now we are the peoples, because we might realize that until now the peoples did not exist as a potential capacity of serenity, of solidarity, of action, because we started not recognizing, for example, the women or the persons with different ideologies or beliefs, or no. Now, this is the most positive aspect that we can today already put to be free and responsible, and to be with the people that are have resolved to save the succeeding generation and to end the war. Why? Because now, yes, this is our hope. Now we recognize all the dignity, human dignity, equal for all the human beings. Women, men, the color of the skin, the ethnia, the ideology, the belief, nothing. All human beings are equal in dignity. And now we progressively recognize this. But at the same time, we can express ourselves, because with the digital methodology, now we can express what we think. Now we can, at the world level, at the global level, to join all our voices, all our decisions, all our knowledge, and to say no. From now on, no veto. From now on, we have the immense force of human creativity to create new ways of governance, to create understanding, to create solidarity. Yes, now we can. Now we can, because we are equal in dignity, we can express ourselves, and we know that only a democratic system without veto can redress the present situation. I remember when, once more, one very important leader, that was the President Eisenhower in the United States, when he was going the 20th of January of 1961 to trespass the presidency to John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He was brave enough to say, Mr. President, and his speech was wonderful. During this period of time, I have been the president of the United States of North America, but I had not the power in this country. The power in this country is in the hands of the industrial arm complex. Yes, we must realize this. We must realize that at this moment, the governance of the G7 with the NATO is a plutocratic and supremacist governance. No, now we must change. Now we must change, but very rapidly. Because now we can express ourselves. Now we can participate. Now we consider us equal. We can persuade those that still think that only is with the forces, with the armament, and with the bombs that peace can be finally achieved. No. Now, dear friends, today we must see, first of all, what says UNESCO's constitution? To be free and responsible. We must be responsible. Second, very important, why can we really, at the global level, redress the present situation? We must say now we realize that the immense force at the global level are not the armament, are not the bombs, are the capacity. That is our wonder. Every human being unique and able to create. It is wonderful. Every human being is able to create. What a wonder! To create a different world, to create a different way of action. Yes, now we can. Now we can, but we must say, remember what said Eisenhower. It is not the power of a man, it's the power of a complex military, industrial, producing armament. Now, for example, it's the same case. The veto now cannot go along with the terrible situation in which we have potentially irreversible issues. It's terrible. In environment, in diseases, in the habitability of the planet, we are arriving to irreversible points of action. No solution afterwards. What happens with the Arctic if it's already melting? This is no solution anymore. How we can arrive to this point without reaction, without saying no? From now on, we are going to change. Because now, we the peoples exist. Because now we recognize ourselves, all big with the same human dignity. And we can express ourselves. Then the things must change. Now we cannot accept the veto. Now we cannot accept these meetings of the COP, in which that is set on the media, and now the environment. Now the things are going better. Are going better. The environment. We are arriving to points that are, I know this quite well, because in the year 1968, I remember already working with Aurelio Pecei, the Club of Rome Foundation. And I remember also afterwards when we said, no, now we need to have a summit of the earth in the year 1972, in the year 1992, in the year 2002, 10 years later, was the last summit of the earth to say, now we the people. No. The governance, the plutocratic and supremacist governance, as now happens, immediately rejected all our proposals. What happens with the proposal of the Agenda 21 that was really very, very well drafted and with very, very important personalities of the world and scientists? What happened? And what happened afterwards with the decisions of the 2002 summit in Johannesburg? The same thing. Immediately, nothing. What we want is the force. We want to have the armament. No. Now, we are in a moment in which we can change. We are in a moment in which we can redress the present trends. And we can say to the world, for the first time, now it is not with the veto, it is with democracy that we can save the situation at the world level. Now it is not anymore to say with more bombers. No. I remember, when there was a meeting in Reykjavik in the year 1986, and was with Reagan and Gorbachev. And Gorbachev was saying, you have 17,000 nuclear bombs, and they have 17,000. What is this? We can destroy the world as a whole. And finally, they were able to reduce the number. But in a given moment, when they were 6,000 each, Reagan said, because of reasons of global security, I cannot go further. No, this is a disaster. With 6 and 6, this is a disaster. This is always to think that the solution is the force. Now we are going to say to the world that all the countries join themselves and say, we the peoples, the inhabitants of the world, we the peoples, we are now resolved to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of the war. We will put into practice, for the first time, the first phrase of the Charter of the United Nations. This is the solution. Now, even in the European Union that in a given moment represented, yes, a call to democracy and to, now they say that the decision must be adopted by unanimity. What is this? Unanimity also. Then we have the veto of unanimity. The unanimity is the antithesis of democracy. Therefore, dear friends, education. Education to be free and responsive. To be responsible. Because education to put into practice, after so many years, to put into practice the Charter of the United Nations. Thank you.